Hey, it's Soul with another episode of Tales from the Crossroads, your unedited stories and my dumb voice. I have a lot of great stories to share, and an extra one at the very end. So sit back, relax, and hear your tales for the day. Juan Matias O'Hara writes, I used to be one of those LFR raiders back in Miss Pandaria. After watching countless of those videos from YouTubers like Asmongold and Preach and many others about the normal heroic thing, I decided to start pugging because I wanted to get better and see what the actual bosses were like. So I started getting some gear from the Timeless Isle and upgrading those to 540 so I can do some flex raiding. Once I joined and we fought the first 3 bosses, I was kind of blown away because the difference in the transition from face roll bosses to bosses where you have to learn and do mechanics, for an LFR raider doing that for the first time, it was incredible. After progressing for a few hours on that pug, I called it a night, and then on the days before Warlords of Draenor, I did some more pugs but didn't get that far since the new expansion meant a new start. So I searched for a guild to get progress and what the bosses were meant to be. Now I look back at this time since I currently raid Mythic, which is so awesome, coming from such a low point to going full on hardcore. Basically, LFR made me want to get better, and I did. Daniel Welder writes, oh, my epic story? It's more like an unintended troll. You see, I was in Tomb of Sargeras with my raid when someone said that they need to go to Dalaran to do some shit that I don't recall. Being the altruistic mage that I am, I immediately conjured a portal to the city. But the portal was close to a healthstone pool, and I guess there were still people grabbing their cookies from the pool when I summoned the portal, because most of the raid ended up in Dalaran. There were 2 other mages in the raid, and since I'm new to the core, they did not suspect me, and instead threw shit at the other 2 poor mages. As always, I kept my mouth shut in the voice chat, and they laughed and forgot about it sometime later because luckily we have a lock. To this day, they still think it was one of the other 2 mages since they were older in the core and more likely to do that kind of stuff. Whew. Danny writes, I'd say that my most epic WoW story was the time I down-killed Jaden for the first time. The entire Tomb of Sargeras was a raid that I hyped up for several months. I went through the raid always having this extraordinary feeling of excitement to see what was next. Then, when Kill Jaden came, I basically started mashing my face against my keyboard out of excitement. The whole setting was totally badass. We were on a spaceship fighting a once holy leader of a lost people. Spaceboy writes, my best WoW story is about how I became friends with this lady in my guild. We started doing things together in-game all the time and chit-chatting about whatnot. When I decided to play Star Wars The Old Republic for a while, she came and played with me. Little did I know that at the time it was because she had developed kind of a thing for me. By the time we started playing WoW again, she one day asked me if it wasn't too forward, would I have any interest in her? I answered of course, and within a year, she had moved a couple states over to move in with me. 2 years after that, we married, and now 2 years later, we've moved to her hometown in Arizona, and are happily playing WoW together still. Ivald writes, it was back in Nighthold, and my guild was trying to down heroic Gul'dan. We had tried for several weeks to down Gul'dan with no luck, and we had even gone as far as locking the raid lockout to Gul'dan so we could have the most time on him. That week, after the 3 hours were up on the raid, we decided to just continue pushing. We continued another 3 hours, totaling 30 or 40 attempts on trying to get him down. We decided to give it one more attempt before giving up for the week. Everything was going smoothly throughout most of the fight, however on phase 3, we were slowly losing players due to flame puddles and many from Black Harvest. With about 4 out of the 15 or so people left, the raid lead called to a wipe, but we decided to keep on going. 2 more players had died, and it was just down to me and the tank. The boss was at 5% health, and I was at 10% health. All of a sudden, my metamorphosis went off cooldown. I went in to gain the leads to bring myself back to full health, as well as do more damage. When Gul'dan was at 1% health, the tank had gone down, as well as my metamorphosis. Luckily, I finished him off by the time I was at 15 or 20% health, getting ahead of the curve for the guildies. That was the most amazing, but scariest thing that I've ever done in WoW. Here's a bonus. Soul writes, Many moons ago, disaster struck Azeroth in a way that may never be known again. The world was under assault by the undead scourge. There was a worldwide invasion happening in the World of Warcraft that came in the form of an undead plague. Select areas of the world were marked with poisonous crates that could infect players. These infected players would become scourge and could infect others, NPCs, guards, other players. Days would pass and this event would grow more hectic. On its darkest days, when the plague was at its most volatile, 3 men from the guild, Prisoners of Warcraft, laid siege to the world. One man sought to save it. It started in Stonard, a staging point for Horde players to proceed to the Karazhan raid. Using a Hearthstone and starting from Booty Bay, I infected myself, traveled to Stonard, and turned their guards into my minions. Mere minutes would pass before I infected the entire outpost, leaving nothing alive or dead. Players would fly into Stonard and be immediately turned, because taking multiple melee hits from me and my guys would almost instantly turn them into zombies themselves. Naturally, these players were pissed. I stopped entire raid groups with my antics. Satisfied with my dark work, but hungry to ruin more lives, I moved on. The Crossroads was next. Using my second account and 2 of my guildmates, Tech and Ten, we summoned my infected player to the Crossroads from Booty Bay and then infected ourselves. There was chaos. Low-level players were helpless. Of these though, some were alts of powerful mains who switched over and flew in from Ogremar, equipped flight. My insurrection was put down swiftly due to NPCs being spread a little bit too far apart, but I was not defeated. Not yet. I decided to strike at Terran Mill thanks to its density unlike the Crossroads. We summoned another infection and began our invasion, starting with nearby farms full of low-level NPCs. And then, we struck the town unawares. Waves of ghouls, cursing and laughter assaulted the town for nearly an hour. Even when players rallied together, it wasn't enough to disrupt our swarm. But suddenly, lightning ripped through the ranks of my minions and there he was. I knew his name, Casey, but time helped me forget the name of his character. It doesn't matter though. That day he was referred to differently. He was a guildmate, he was Horde, a shaman, but he was tearing through our fun, my fun. That day, I addressed him as the troll hero. The fucking troll hero. The troll hero saw my amusement over guild chat and decided to join in on the fun, but from the other side. He stopped my advance flat once he finished off my remaining ghouls. He killed me. The hero shrugged at how trivial it was, mocking me. Little did he know though. While he gloated, Tech and Ten were at a farm to the north, replenishing our undead forces off the helpless bandit camp we helped liberate earlier. I lured the troll hero over chat, getting him to believing he won, all the while holding back feigned resentment through clenched teeth. This was fun. I was really getting into it. I snuck over to the farm where my army waited and rendezvoused with my lieutenants. Without another word, we struck hard, doing our best to build our forces before anyone was aware. Our scourge came down in a fury, immediately nullifying the guards' efforts and then turning them to our side. The troll hero finally noticed and struck back hard himself, but even for him, there wasn't enough chain lightning to stop our advance. The scourge razed the town, sending groans across the zone from the disgruntled and the grieved. Some of them enjoyed the chaos and delight. Me, obviously being one of them. Haha. I'd love to say that's how the story ended, but the battle went on and on, back and forth, the living versus the dead. Eventually the excitement gave way to satisfaction and then exhaustion. It was quite a day. Skeletons paved the streets of Terran Mill. There was nothing but devastation. But the scourge was eventually gone. The story of the troll hero who defended the town though, it's immortalized in the memory of my guild, even if only 4 of us were present. The imperfect chaos of the undead plague was some of the most fun I've ever had. Days were ruined, friendships fractured and maybe bolstered, comrades became enemies, and enemies from opposite factions could suddenly talk to each other. Not everyone enjoyed themselves, that's for sure. I did, and I enjoyed sharing this moment with you today. That's all the stories we've got for this week. If you enjoyed the content and you want more, please like and subscribe, and support me the best way you know how. If you think you have a great story, even a better one, I'd love for you to share it so I can read it for the rest of the world of Warcraft. Type out your story in a comment below, or send it to me through email, or whatever the heck method you can think of. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.